There are 52 committees in the Washington State Legislature. All of these committees meet in these buildings here. Each committee has a chair who's in charge of setting the agendas. This means that the chair decides what the legislators will be discussing at that meeting.
So I'm really proud to be chair of the Law and Justice Committee in the Senate.
Each committee has its own responsibilities and area of expertise.
I was always very interested in being chair of the Law and Justice Committee. It helps that I'm a lawyer. It also helps that I was a prosecutor for 20 years.
Over 2,000 bills are filed every year, so each committee chair has to choose which bills out of the hundreds that they see will get a public hearing. There is only so much time in a 105-day session.
Being a chair is actually a very powerful role because you get to decide what bills get a hearing and which ones don't. As chair, you have to make sure you are hearing bills that actually are valid and have a path forward. Because we only have a short amount of time, if you start hearing bills that aren't viable, you're just taking time away from bills that actually have the possibility of passing. So that vetting that I do before I schedule an agenda is really to make sure that we are getting hearings on bills that are likely to pass.
Senator Dhingra explained that stakeholders get bills ready to be heard during the interim. But essentially, a well-worked bill has a few key components.
Is this the right policy? Does this make sense? Is it implementable? So I believe in working with everyone because at the end of the day, you have to make sure you're providing the people of Washington what they need to be successful. But you have to make sure it doesn't cost a lot of money, especially this year with our fiscal situation being the way it is. Anything with the big fiscal note is in danger of not passing. And I always make sure that my Republican ranking member is involved in that process because I truly do believe that when we work together, we get better policy.
Because the chairs of the committees have so much power over which bills are put on the agendas, we talked to Senator Dhingra about how she worked with those in the minority party. We examined a bill going through the 2025 legislative session that is prime sponsored by Republican Senator Phil Fortunato.
Washington is the last Western state to have a complete ban on possession of spring blade knives.
It's really just a cleanup bill to try to bring this into the 21st century and get away from the Hollywood stereotypes.
You know, people need their knives because they're opening boxes, they're going camping. For people with disabilities, many times it's hard to open that knife if you have arthritis. So, you know, having that button to press where the spring blade just kind of pops out is really needed. And so this bill is really about making sure that this knife is no longer considered a dangerous weapon. So it's a good bill, and I'm happy to support it and happy to send it out of the floor. You know, we also have great bipartisan bills when it comes to behavioral health, mental health issues, substance use disorder issues. You know, 95% of the bills that have been passed of the Senate floor in the last 7 years have been bipartisan. It's 95%. That's a really high number.
There are many other factors that go into viability, and understanding whether the government has enough money or interest in implementing the bill is essential.
It's about the idea, how much it's going to cost, who it's going to help, and making sure everyone is on board on implementing it. Because you can write all the great laws that you want, but unless there's implementation, it's just a good novel.